Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jen. I am a mother to a 2-year-old named James, and as you saw from the title, I am pregnant. So I figured I would go ahead and get ready for my day and at the same time just chat a little bit about this pregnancy. I'm about to be 10 weeks at this point, so I'm almost done with the first trimester. Praise the Lord. It's been not as bad as some, of course, but I really have been so tired and let's just go ahead and jump right in. If you think it's weird that I'm doing my makeup in my dining room, I understand, but I just keep my makeup in this bag and do it wherever I can. Usually I'm on the floor while my son's playing. So this is actually quite normal for me. So, okay, I am pregnant again. If you have not watched any of my other videos, you probably don't know, but I had a failed pregnancy in January, February-ish, the beginning of the year. And I didn't make it very far at all. There was no baby in the gestational sac that had been formed. So there was no sign of life at around the 6-week mark. And I got through that, praise God. I was very just thankful for the opportunity to have even been able to get pregnant again. And I just knew that God has a plan for us. And so I'm very, very fortunate to have been able to get pregnant again so quick. So yeah, let's talk about it. I have a few symptoms written down from the first couple of weeks. Basically between, oh my gosh, it just feels like it's been so long. Like I've just been pregnant for forever, because I have symptoms written down from, it says 0 to 4 weeks. Holy cow, it's just crazy. We were actively trying, so I think whenever you're actively trying and you sense something going on with your body, it's pretty telling that you are pregnant. So the first symptom that I wrote down that I noticed was a heightened sense of smell. And I don't remember my sense of smell being this intense with my pregnancy with James, but it is just, and I do, now looking back, I do remember it being really intense, but I guess it's just a reminder of how freaking crazy it is and how, if you know, you know. So heightened sense of smell, and then I started having the, ooh, that sounds good kind of craving, if you know what I mean, which also happened with James. I didn't have any specific cravings where I was like, I just woke up in the middle of the night wanting pizza. I do now. I do have very specific cravings now that come out of nowhere. But at first it was really just like an, oh my gosh, that sounds so good. And then of course the usual like mood swings, just being overly emotional, just being kind of dramatic and crazy, and my poor husband. The next thing I wrote down was my tummy just wasn't feeling right. It just wasn't, there was something brewing in there, if that makes sense. And I felt that for sure. I had crazy, crazy dreams. I was so tired. I remember a vlog that I put out whenever I was probably barely like 2 weeks pregnant in that vlog, if that. And I was like, I am so tired, and wishful thinking that it's because I'm pregnant, and I was pregnant. So that was good. My boobs were sore, which I don't really think happened so much with James. It definitely didn't happen in the pregnancy that didn't take, but now it's definitely pretty intense, and I am nursing my son still, so I think I can tell. I can definitely tell. And then my back started breaking out, which I just break out a lot when I'm pregnant. I remember with James, my face broke out a lot, but with this pregnancy, I'm just breaking out in really weird places. Like I've had breakouts on my arms. I have this like I covered it up a little bit right now, but I have stuff on my neck. I have it on my back. I think I had one on my leg. It's just the most random spots ever. So those were the symptoms that I had between 0 to 4 weeks, and they did carry over. They didn't stop between 0 to 4 weeks, but they did carry over. And some of those are still very prominent, if not more prominent now. But then for the 5 to 9 weeks, I have at 5 weeks heartburn all the time. I'm starving. I'm so hungry all the time. I'm starving. I could eat at all times, and I'm eating a lot too. And then at 5 weeks, I started to feel queasy, and I never felt this with James. I never felt the way that I feel right now. I still feel it a little bit. It's getting a little better. It got worse for a while, but I just felt like I was on the verge of throwing up. It's not the right brush to use. Yeah, I just feel so queasy all the time. It's definitely gotten better. I definitely have learned how to kind of control it a little bit. I need to watch what I eat. I can't eat really a bunch of crap all at once. If I had an empty stomach, if I ate too much, I would feel like I was going to puke everywhere, and I never did. Today I feel really good. I don't feel that today, and I haven't felt it this week. So I'm hoping that it gets better. My doctor said that it gets worse between like the 9, 10, 11 week mark. And then if at that point it's not getting any worse, that it probably won't get any worse. So that's good. What else? So week 6 and week 8, I noted that I started to have to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. And on average, at some point, I was waking up between like 3 to 5 times a night to pee. And that was rough because James also started going through a sleep regression. And to put it a long story short, James is no longer sleep trained. He is no longer putting himself to sleep, and he is no longer sleeping through the night, which is fine. We've been at peace. Some nights we've been at peace with the fact that we need to snuggle him to sleep, but him not sleeping through the night has been really rough. So between me having to pee a lot at night and me having to wake up with James a lot at night, I have just been so tired and so unmotivated to film, so unmotivated to clean, to grocery shop, to cook. And I've had a lot of mom guilt for all of that, but thankfully my husband has been so gracious and he hasn't even noticed, basically. I'm sure he has noticed, but he doesn't make me feel guilty in any way for just being useless. Anywho, week 9, I was so constipated at one point during week 9 that I almost checked myself into the hospital because I was in so much pain that I no longer even believed that it was from the constipation. I thought that there was something wrong with baby. It went on for like 6 hours while I was at work, and it kept getting worse. I called the doctor and she was like, "You are indeed constipated." So she told me to go to the store and get a glycerin suppository and shove that up in my, so I could poop, and so they could make sure that there wasn't anything serious going on. And it worked. It helped, and I felt like a clown because I was telling my coworkers, I was like, I feel like I'm having contractions because the pain was so intense, and the way that they were spiking, they were being timed like a contraction would be timed. It was so weird and crazy and painful, and I'm glad everything's okay. That 9-week period, the tiredness got to a point where it was even worse, which I didn't even know was possible. there's no way for me to describe it. I can sit here and just be like, I was so tired and just try to describe how tired I was, but it's just not gonna do any good. And then the last thing that I wrote for the 9-week mark was just the fact that I have just been really noisy. I feel like I'm a very noisy pregnant gal. I've been very congested, and when I sleep, I can only lay on my back and be able to breathe out of my nose without it being just so annoying. I'm just so aware of mouth breathing. I don't want to be a mouth breather, and I'm literally breathing through my mouth right now. And I'm so out of breath. I'm just a noisy pregnant girl, and I snore whenever I'm really pregnant, to the point where my husband literally is like, I'm gonna go get a hotel room because I cannot be around you, which is dramatic. But we actually got into a fight whenever I was pregnant with James, because obviously you're hormonal and sensitive, and he was just being honest and I couldn't take it. But anywho, right now, being 10 weeks and some change, I am feeling a little less tired, praise God. I feel my morning routine is so consistent that I'm able to recognize whenever I am done feeding James breakfast and I am having my coffee on my couch, reading my Bible, watching him play. I can just tell, like, wow, I feel so much more rested, I guess. I don't know if it's even feeling rested, because I'm not, because James is still sleeping like crap. But what I'm getting at is that I just feel less tired from the pregnancy. I feel like at this point, maybe the placenta is formed. I have no idea. I am no biologist. I am no doctor. But they say that the reason that you get so tired in the first couple of weeks is because you're creating the placenta. Maybe all the hard work's done. So I'm just feeling a little better. I'm feeling less nauseous. I'm getting huge. I was never this big with James this early. I don't look like that big. If you don't know what I look like normal, but I'm big, and my friends can tell, my family can tell that I'm getting bigger. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about a VBAC, because I think that I'm gonna go for it. And the reason that I had a C-section with James was because the umbilical cord was stuck around his neck, and I was 100% at peace over the idea of having a C-section before I even was in labor. The entire pregnancy, my birth plan was God's plan. Whatever God, I'm trying to find a way to explain the mindset that I had throughout my entire pregnancy and throughout this pregnancy. I guess my trust in God lies in the doctors that are working with me, that are going to be in the labor and delivery room, that are going to counsel me through this pregnancy, are people that God intentionally put in my path to set me up for success. So my trust lies in my doctors and everything. Whenever the doctors told me that they felt more confident about me having a C-section than to wait it out with James's umbilical cord stuck around his neck, I was like, perfect, sounds good. And they were like, oh really, like you're cool about it? I'm like, yeah, it's just like whatever, I trust you. I don't see people who had C-sections as any less than mothers that had vaginal births or even like unmedicated natural births, but I do admire the women that had vaginal births, and I admire the heck out of women who did it completely unmedicated. I think that that is awesome. I think that is powerful, and I think that is just beautiful. And there is something to be said about being able to say, like, I pushed this baby out of me, and like the experience that you have with your husband during a natural birth. I admire that. With that being said, I was 100% planning on having a scheduled cesarean with this second baby because I had heard that VBACs are dangerous. I've heard that doctors don't encourage them. Some doctors don't even offer to do VBACs. I've heard that there was preparation involved. I heard so many things about VBACs, and I'm just the kind of person that I'm just like, meh, whatever. Like, I don't need that experience for myself, so I'm just gonna have a C-section. Well, I am giving birth in a completely different state, and this is my first pregnancy with these doctors. I was at my appointment at 8 weeks, and the doctor, who was just so bland, so chill, so laid back, he was just like, so you had a C-section with your first? And I'm like, yep. And he said, all right, what do you want to do with this one? And I was like, a C-section, I guess. And he was like, okay, any reason why? And that question it wasn't a challenging question, but that question challenged me to rethink about it, I guess, in a way, because I was not expecting that. I heard that doctors did not even like VBACs, so I was just really thrown off by that question. And I was like, well, because it's easier, right? It's the better option. He was like, I mean, if that's what you want. And I'm like, well, no, now you gotta speak up, mister. What are you trying to say? And I asked him, well, what do you think? What's your opinion on VBACs? And he was like, they're great. And I'm like, so you do them? And he was like, yeah, we encourage them here. And I was so shocked. And at that point, I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll try it. And he was like, okay. It was just so weird. It was so just matter of fact and so different from everything else, all of the other conversations that I've had surrounding VBACs. And I was like, well, honestly, like my cesarean recovery really wasn't that bad compared to others. And I told him, I'm like, I'm kind of nervous about the idea of like pushing out a baby. Like that recovery sounds like it would be worse. And what if I tear and stuff? And then he shared that his wife actually had a natural birth at first, a C-section second, and then she had a VBAC with her third. He's like, the natural birth for her was the hardest. Her C-section was better and her VBAC was the best, which I assume her VBAC was the best because she had already had a natural birth. And I heard that them babies just slip right out for number 2. So, but still, that was encouraging. And it just challenged me to rethink about it. And I really had no reason to oppose to a VBAC at that moment. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's try VBAC. And please, I don't want to spread any misinformation because I did ask him if I needed to prepare to do anything because I know that uterine interruption is the reason why VBACs are a little scary for both doctors and moms. And he did mention that, and he did mention the percentage of it and how it's low and how they do have a certain time when they want to put in the epidural, and at a certain point that they will start to give up, I guess, on the VBAC, and then they will go ahead and perform a C-section. He said that because I didn't even try and push with James, that is why he feels confident in me having a VBAC. He said if I tried to push James for hours and hours and hours and he just would not come out, whether it was because my body could not handle it, whether it was because James was too big, then it becomes a different conversation. But he's like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to at least try to give birth vaginally this time around. So I asked him, do I need to prepare? He was like, if you want to have pelvic floor therapy, you can. But he just made it seem so chill, and I loved that. That's the kind of doctor that I need. That's the kind of doctor that my husband likes. I understand that some people need bedside manner that is very like encouraging and positive and holds your hand and is sensitive to your feelings. I just need people to be quick to the point. And because of the way that this doctor approached the conversation is the reason why I feel confident in trying for a vaginal birth. I will keep you posted, obviously, on that. I'm definitely going to ask I have a different doctor for my next appointment. I'm going to try to gauge his reaction and his opinions on VBACs as well. But at this point, I feel like I'm at peace with vaginal birth, and I'm at peace with knowing that I am not worried about uterine rupture at all, because I just know that the Lord's going to be with me, and he's going to be walking hand in hand with me through it all. And if it happens, then it freaking happens, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But there's no point in me fearing that that's going to happen and talking myself out of it. So I'm just not going to do it, and I'm just going to look forward to it and not be disappointed if it doesn't happen, and just be ready for it. So I feel like this was all over the place. I've probably lost my train of thought, and I probably rambled a bunch of times, but I'm glad that you stuck with me through the end. If you got to this point, I am so excited to be pregnant and to film more pregnancy related content, because when I was pregnant with James, that's all I did. If you want to see more of me, and if you want to follow my pregnancy journey, please subscribe, please message, please comment, please follow me on Instagram. I love you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.